Holy shit, it's a health video. Because, I'm the fucking epitome of health. Well, here I am once again. This is a part vlog, but I'm mostly talking about my fat fasting, the plan, how it's going so far, so on and so forth. But before I get to that, this video, if you notice, there's no commercials on the shit. Which means I don't have to fill out that big communist questionnaire on what I can and can't say that may or may not violate whatever. If you want to support me making videos on YouTube, since I no longer am going to get a Google paycheck, you can head to ScottTheTruckDriver.com, sign up for my free email list. You can leave a tip in the virtual tip jar, or you can purchase one of my podcasts, which is essentially funding all of my content creation right now. Episode 8 just put up today while you're watching this video. It's available for purchase. The link is down below. And, of course, the podcast is completely uncensored, and I'm allowed to say whatever the fuck I want on there. And, I like that. And apparently so do a few other people, because it's actually doing pretty well, comparatively speaking to YouTube. Anyways, I am now 30... Hold on, let me look at my fucking watch. Watch, like I have a fucking watch. I got a phone. I am approximately 39 hours fasted right now. And by fasted, I mean fat fast. I'm going to briefly, a lot of you already know this because I've done this before. I've talked about this before. And those old videos about fat fasting and fasting in general are still relevant today. Nothing's really changed in the realm of fasting since then. But I'm going to go over basically my principles behind this fat fast. First of all a fat fast is I'm allowed to consume fat only, and generally not over 800 calories of fat, which generally works out for me to be 2 to 3 cups of coffee with heavy cream in it. Heavy cream has 0 carbs and no protein. The general principle is to keep your protein under 20 grams, which switches on autophagy, and that autophagy will continue throughout the fat fast. In the past, when I've done long fat fasts, after the initial 72 hours, I generally lose 1 pound per day, depending on my physical activity. I'm very sedentary right now, so it might come in under 1 pound per day. But I do plan on, if the weather cooperates, getting out, doing some, unweighted hiking and that kind of stuff to, take off some of the weight from the fact that I've been eating like shit since I think late September, early October time frame is when I fell off the wagon. And I fell off to a point where I am indeed addicted to carbs and sugar, as in I'm thinking about the shit. I saw someone talking about pizza online, and I damn near, had one of those wet dreams or something. I'm definitely fighting that craving, but I haven't been hungry yet. I'm on, the 38th hour here. I can feel, having done this such a long time, I know I'm in ketosis at this point. And I'm actually doing all right with it. I thought I would be suffering a hell of a lot more by this point in the fast. Typically, the first 72 hours of a fast are very difficult. And I know during a water fast, it's even more difficult, which is why I chose a fat fast. Weight loss isn't completely the goal. I mean, it helps. It's nice. But ultimately, this is to kickstart me back into a ketogenic diet and ketosis. And some of you, I know, give 2 shits about that. But it's how I'm going to fix the damage of this shitty food I've been eating. And I plan on incorporating these fat fasts going forward. I'm not even bothering with water fasts anymore because I'm a caffeine addict. I don't like black coffee. So I like having my heavy cream in my coffee. It's a very satisfying meal to me. And so the general principle of this current fast is I'm going to go 5 days minimum. I may extend it longer if I get to the 5-day mark and I'm not suffering miserably and I'm chugging along weight loss wise, and the mental clarity is already kicking in. I can tell, I can think more clearly already. As for depression levels, they are also falling. I'm actually started to make some music again. I'm working on a cover right now that I'm going to post sometime in the next couple days. I still have to lay the vocal tracks for it. So the mental clarity and the depression levels are coming down, in spite of other circumstances not really changing anything. Like I felt, as I watched the news and the Senate hearings that are going on, I did experience a bit of depression today, but it's already wearing off now that I'm doing something a little more creative, and I'm not really talking much about that horse shit right now, but it continues. If you want to hear more of that, check out the podcast. But the principle of this is basically to get me into strong ketosis, to lose some of the weight and prime me essentially for fat burning and keto. And then I'm looking at possibly transitioning to an alternate day fasting lifestyle after the 10 days period following the 5-day fast, or longer if I extend the fast. But generally, I always follow the principle of when you do a long fast like this, to eat normally, as in intuitively, whenever you're hungry on a ketogenic diet for at least 10 days following it. After that 10-day period of recovery, rebuilding, you get your proteins back going, you start building some muscle again, you start replacing a lot of the damaged cells that autophagy consumed while you were fasting, and you generally rebuild some strength with a little bit of exercise. And you get right back to where you were, minus the fat you burned in the process. And then the purpose of going ketogenic is it's very difficult to overeat on a ketogenic diet. And because you're in ketosis, your hormones are regulating your appetite properly versus your energy expenditure. So basically the whole principle of it is kickstart ketosis, lose a little bit of weight in that process. It's debatable whether I'll keep it off or not. I don't know how much damage I've done with the drinking and the fucking standard American diet that I did. I am still sober, 100% sober since Christmas. I'm fired from Singers. It's official. I've been removed from all the employee chats and whatnot. It's really interesting how that went down. But so I have no incentive to go to the bar or drink because most of the other bars I don't like around here. And the karaoke situation is iffy in a lot of these places. And I just don't want to deal with the mandates at all to go sing when I can just sing right here. I enjoyed working on the covers where it's more than just singing. I'm actually putting together and producing the track in the background, and I'm just really enjoying that. So I don't need to go drinking. I do miss my social life, which has gone down to a bare minimum at this point. It's pretty much my best friend. It's the only one I've really hung out with since all of this went down. So I do miss that a bit, but I've been a solo creature for many years, as many of you have commented in the past when I go on the road or when I'm in a truck and I'm doing all of this. Now, the other reason I want to focus on fat fasting primarily is because I know I'm going to have fucking cheats. And I know that if I get in the truck, it's going to be very difficult to maintain a ketogenic diet. So I think incorporating an alternate day fasting style, if I manage to get back into a truck, will allow me to continue to lose weight and continue to get healthier and recover and repair most of the damage that I may have caused by going and eating the standard American diet, drinking like a fish. Probably got a lot of liver fat that I should be burning through on these fasts. Depending on how the results, I might just do another long fast at the end of the 10-day recovery. And, you know, it depends on the results. It depends on how much weight loss I keep. It depends on how I feel. Whether or not I'm deficient in anything is another aspect to be concerned with. As far as what I'm going to eat, it's going to be as keto as possible, but keeping in mind meat prices are skyrocketing right now. So it's probably going to be a whole lot of ground beef, eggs, bacon, you know, and pretty much not every day. And eating the cheaper, shittier foods, you know, I'm just going to have to suck it up and live without the enjoyment of ribeyes as often and stuff like that. So that's what I'm looking at. Will I succeed? I'm not guaranteeing shit because we all know it's a struggle right now mental health wise. There's very little dopamine to be had right now. And I know I'm going to have cheat days. I know I'm going to do that. But the goal is to space those cheat days out, follow the cheat days with a significant period of fasting, maybe a 36 or 72-hour fast at the very least, to burn off whatever stupidity I do during the cheat. I'm still pretty much going to be one meal a day, even when I do alternate day fasting, unless I'm somehow hungrier. In which case I'll integrate a ketogenic snack into that formula. But overall, I needed to do this to get my health back on track, because I think part of my depression issue is definitely my lack of physical health and my very shitty diet. And not to mention being sedentary, you know, in a basement or in my little ass room with the fucking pull-out couch. You know, these are all things that I need to work on. I need to get outside more, in nature more. I've lost my connection with nature, and I think that's also part of the problem. It's difficult to do when you got fucking lake effect snow pouring down and it's colder than shit out. Like even right now, I have 2 coats on in this basement because it's a struggle just to get it, you know, into the 60-degree range and down here, because there's no insulation and pretty much the heat gets sucked out of you through the floor. So I'm doing all of these things to try and get the ball rolling on self-improvement. Now, the other thing that I'm currently concerned with, and we're getting a little bit of the current events thing going, is getting back in the truck. As you know, there's a SCOTUS court case going on in this regard that's as yet undecided. I thought they were going to reconvene on Monday. I've seen nothing, and I've looked. No coverage, no live stream of it or anything like that to find out if these, snake oil things are going to be part of the 100 or more employee situation, which would mean that even if I somehow were to be in the trucking situation, more than likely a lot of the customers that I would pick up and deliver from are going to require it, or they're going to require me to take the test, which I refuse to do as well. So I might not be able to hop in a truck. As of right now, it's currently in effect. There's no stay on it, but the fines don't kick in till February. But I have a funny feeling a lot of companies are already getting ahead of this to essentially do that and continue the trucker shortage and the supply chain issues that people have been whining about all over the place, when really you just need to stop doing all of this stupid shit to fix this and get us back to normal, as illustrated by many of the states that didn't mandate anything and have strong economies. So that's my thoughts there. This is something I'm doing. I didn't put this disclaimer out here because one of the reasons I haven't done ketogenic videos and fasting videos all this time is because of the censorship involved. I'm talking about fasting. I'm talking about keto. Those are definitely ranked down below mainstream media's narrative on diet and nutrition, and that hasn't changed. We've been distracted, obviously, from certain things that are going on right now. But I haven't forgotten the reason I stopped making these videos to begin with. This is more of a test video. I'm going to tag it properly and do everything to kind of talk about, starting my 5-day fat fast. And I want to share the results, of course, and updates, or if I encounter any difficulties. As always, while I'm fasting, I choose to end the fast based on if I feel like shit, if I feel overly weak or nauseous or any of the other signs that I'm deficient in something, or that I've overdone it, or I get lightheaded a lot, and that kind of stuff. None of that has happened yet. That's about the time I would end the fast. I always err on the side of caution when doing a longer fast. Anything over 72 hours, essentially. 72 hours is the magic number where you're really not going to do any damage, if you're deficient within 72 hours. You generally have a 72-hour reserve of your electrolytes, of all of the various minerals and nutrients in your body, which are all stored. You got protein stored in your muscle, you got your bones store minerals, your electrolytes are stored in intercellular fluid and your blood and stuff like that. And, so your body is prepared for you to weather a fasting storm. Now I'm kind of covering some of the past fasting videos, and I recommend you go back in my history and my playlist. And if you're interested in doing something like this, but keep in mind, you need to do your homework. There are experts in this field. There are doctors that tell you how to safely do these things. I am not any of that. I'm just an anecdotal dickhead that has done this throughout the last 5 to 6 years. And I know my stuff. I did my homework. All the videos are there showing you what I learned. And also getting into the problems of our diet and our food system and our healthcare system before we were even talking about the current bullshit that's going on. So, these are all things to consider if you decide to, do a fast or a fat fast. Never do so based on my videos. This is something I'm doing. I'm choosing to do this. I am not here to recommend it to you. Do your own fucking homework. Do your own research before trying any of this. And there's also other concerns. If you're on medications, if you have health problems, how will this affect you? And then make your own decision on what you want to do. That's between you and your doctor, how you want to proceed to help correct our poor health. Because let's face it, it's one of the leading causes of a certain number of fatalities in this country is heart attacks, diabetes, obesity, stroke, Alzheimer's. These are all things directly correlated to nutrition and poor diet. So if you're not eating right, or if the food you're eating is polluted, I'll try not to get started on that. There will be health consequences, long-term and short-term in some cases, in terms of autoimmune. I'm a firm believer that nutrition is a very important role, and this is from experience, that the more carnivore spectrum I go with my diet, I call it ketovore because I do have some nuts and seeds and some other things that fall outside the realm, like low carb pizza sauce, that kind of stuff, that fall outside of the carnivore spectrum. But for the most part, I don't eat any salads or leafy greens. Occasionally, sometimes I'll have a salad, but it's maybe once every couple weeks at best, just to kind of change things up a little, because you get sick of eating meat all the time. But the majority of what I eat is meat and fat and animal products, essentially. So, and as I get further into the carnivore spectrum, I found previously that the length of my depressions diminishes dramatically. Instead of being in depressions for a couple weeks, which I recently did, which is why you guys didn't get a video last week, it could be shortened to a matter of hours. And that's the other reason I'm trying to get my diet under control, is because these depressions lately have been crippling. And I need to, shorten their length. They're not going to go away because the stimuli is there and the lack of dopamine. So I'm not anticipating a depression-free life once I get back on track and into ketosis and into a ketovore style diet. But I do know it'll help. It will alleviate some of the length of the depression. Whether or not I can get it down to a matter of hours, we'll see. But as I've said, I'm already 38 hours into this fast, and as far as mental health goes, I'm feeling a lot better. That doesn't mean it's the cause. I'm just telling you that while I'm doing this fast, my mood has improved dramatically. So much so that instead of laying in bed right now, you're getting this video, and then I'm going to turn around and finish my cover and probably put the music up in the next couple days for that. And then I'm going to try and work on actual composing a song, and messing around and farting around doing that, because I enjoy that. I am a little bit on edge about the fact that I might not be able to hop in a truck again. Because I've lost, a couple income streams. Obviously, I'm no longer a part-time DJ, so that income stream's gone. So the podcast is really, it's how I'm supporting myself right now. It's how I'm paying my bills. And so thank you to those of you who continue to support what I do, and also those of you who have tipped through the virtual tip jar on ScottTheTruckDriver.com. You have also helped get me through these past few months, financially speaking, because my savings is diminished. It's not gone per se, but it's now to where if something bad happens to my car, or something like that, or an emergency of that nature comes along, or one of my computers breaks, or my camera fucks up or some shit, I can't replace those things, or I won't be able to afford it. I do have to get my car in for inspection soon, so there's that. But, like I said, because of those of you who purchased the podcast, and I hope you enjoy, I haven't had any complaints per se of my podcast quality, even from people who don't agree with some of the shit I say in there. But it's there for you, and you get a couple hours of content in return, and there's now 8 episodes. So you got full audio book length if you were to buy all of them. And the more successful this podcast is, some of you might be like, well, $5 per episode's too much. I don't think so. I would pay that, for 2 hours of content. I mean, in today's day and age, $5 for 2 hours of content is a bargain. But if it becomes more successful, if it grows, if more and more people start buying it, I will adjust the price according to the demand. It's if I have 100 people that pay $5 for an episode, that's a nice monthly income for me. If I have 1,000 people paying it, then I can lower the price to probably half of what it is and maintain it. I'm a minimalist. I don't need to get rich off of this. In fact, I don't want to get rich off of this, because that would increase my tax liability. So I prefer to kind of keep it at just a manageable income level. So I will, if as it grows, adjust the price. But right now demand is such where that $5 dead on is pretty much bare bones for keeping me going right now. So if you're holding out because $5 per episode is too much, well, just buy one a month. It's not a big deal. I mean, I can't imagine somebody buying, given the length of the podcast, every single podcast. That's a pretty big time commitment listening to my shit. So that's why another reason I priced is so you're not, because I know you're not going to buy every single episode. You might buy the ones you're interested in the most. But thank you guys. Remember, I'm not a fucking expert, I'm just an asshole. If you're fasting, if you're trying to follow along, so to speak, go ahead and comment down below. Tell me how it's going. Tell me if you have to stop because it's getting too rough or whatever. There's that. Tell me if you get hungry a lot. Tell me if you're craving things. I've had 2 dreams of food. Like I had another one last night. So there's definitely an addiction factor that I'm trying to get through here. And we'll see how that goes. But that's it. Thanks for hanging out with me. And have a nice motherfucking day. And shit. And I just can't believe how much bullshit is going on right now. I talk a lot about that in the podcast. But, I can't even keep up. Like, after I published the fucking podcast, things got even stupider. Is that a word, stupider? Well, it should be. We're on our way to idiocracy anyway.